In this lesson, we will continue to talk about Substance Painter, and we will see how we can import another type of file, which is an FBX. In the previous lesson, we saw how we can use the samples right here, going into the file and open sample. And with this, we can start to study the software and try to understand better how it's going to work and how we can use different panels here to manage the 3D objects in the scene right here, and also the various channels for the materials of the various objects that will have different layers, so we can manage the layers from here. And you can see this is a really complex scene with a lot of layers, a lot of materials. So this is just to get you started and to let you see that you can also create more complex scenes in Substance Painter, and also that you can use other tools here to isolate or show everything, or to use the camera and the other tools here on the top toolbar. And also you can render using the iRay render, which is really powerful real-time progressive rendering right here. So I'm just gonna open a new scene here, and this time I wanna get a model from a website that is going to be an FBX. And we're going to see how we can work there with the textures and how to have everything working. So I'm going to go in a website called Sketchpub. It's pretty popular, and you will find also other video guys talking about this website in the channel, so you can look for them. And I'm going to go here to download free models directly. You can see that we have many models in Sketchpub. We have characters and creatures, cars, vehicles, weapons, and 3D scans, hand-painted, PBR. Now, we already talked about PBR, which is a type of system that uses physical-based rendering. So we are able to create physical-based render materials in Substance. So we have a lot of choices here. Now, also, it's interesting to know that we can also use 3D scans, which are pretty realistic because these are pictures that have been converted into 3D. And you can also do that. This is called photogrammetry. And again, you'll find some guides in the channel, and we will talk about this more later. So we have a lot of models here that can be like also product design, industrial design, and some of these models, they have like graphics applying on top of them, and they have specific textures, so envelope textures, which can be used in Substance to create a pretty defined material. And we can use Substance to do like packaging or, again, product design, industrial design, and so on. Now, what I'm going to do here is go in the downloadable section of Sketchfab, where you'll find a lot of models, and you may want to look for CC BY and CC0, which are the most permissive licenses. And you can also check here the old time. And if you want the best quality, you may want to also check the stuff picks. And I want to go for something that I already found before, which is an alien. So I'm going to type alien. And again, I'm going to like type here some filters. And there we go. So this is the one that I want to use. Now, when you use Sketchfab, it's really interesting because you can tell if that model was made out of pictures with photogrammetry or if it was actually modeled in a specific software. And you can have more information before you download it if you go here, down here, and you open up the model inspector. Now, in the model inspector, you can see the whole combination of the various channels and layers and of the materials and textures. And if you go down, you can isolate the base color. So this is the base color texture. And then you have the metalness, which is going to define which parts of this model will be looking like metal and which not. So you can see the white is going to be the metal parts and the black, the non-metals. So each channel, each map will serve to create a specific effect. And this is what happens also in Substance. And then you have roughness. So the white part will be more rough, the black part less rough and more glossy, because roughness is the opposite of glossiness. And then you have scattering for like subscattering effects and other effects that they could be there. So like opacity or emission, to have like emissive materials looking like lights, and so on. So you can study the model before you actually download it. And here we can see the wireframe. Now, usually when a model is modeled in a software like Blender or Cinema 4D or 3ds Max, usually has a nice topology, and the polygons here, the faces, are like neat and well structured. While when you check a model made with photogrammetry, you would see here a lot of triangles. And also you can see that there are not so many details in these characters. So many details have been created using the normal map. So you can see all these little bumps, all these 3D effects here. They're being created thanks to the normal map, and they are not actually in the mesh. They are not actually in the 3D model. And this is helpful because it's going to keep the model neat, and it's going to keep the model low poly instead of like increasing the number of faces too much. So this is why, again, normal maps, bump maps are used for, or height maps. Otherwise, you will have a lot of polygons. Now, if you go down here, you can also see the author. You can see also the number of triangles that can be used and other information about the model. When you're ready, you click here to download the model, and you need to be subscribed here. You need to have an account into Sketchfab in order to download. And when you click here, you're gonna see the FBX file. So I'm just gonna show you quickly. And you see here that we have FBX. So you're gonna click there on the download button and you can download it. We already used in another video GLTF, which is similar to GLB. Now these will come with textures. Usually you don't need to do anything, but sometimes like with files with FBX or OBJ, you need to prepare them into Substance. So click on download. It's going to download it in a zipped folder. You just need to extract the folder and then you're ready to go. So back to Substance Painter, I'm going to go to File, New, and I'm going to select from here the file that I want to bring in. And you can see this is the 3D file. But usually when you download it, it's going to be zipped. And when you unzip it, you're going to find two folders when you're downloading from Sketchfab. One is the source, which is going to be the 3D model. And there you go. And the other folder is the texture folder where we're going to get our textures. So when I select this FBX file and I say open and say OK, it's going to open the file. But you can see that it doesn't have any texture, any color. It's just plain white. So this is something that could happen for some models. And you need to know how you can fix this, how you can bring in the textures. Now we can already paint. You can see here, I can start to paint right away, just like we did previously, because we have a layer right here. Now you can also delete that layer, and then you won't have anything. So you see also we have, so first have a look here. You see we have different models. So we can start to like turn off the ones that we don't need. I'm just gonna keep the blaster here and the alien hominid on. And you can see they have both envelope mapping. So also another thing you would see if they have a nice mapping, a nice envelope mapping like this, so everything will work fine. Otherwise, you need to like fix it. And in this case, we have it. And so we can go like to the blaster. Let's start with the blaster. And you can see also here we have a layer where we can start to paint, or we can just delete it. Now to create new layers, we have a lot of options here. And well, the first ones would be the fill layer and the standard layer. Now we already saw the standard layer, that's for painting. Let's go with the fill layer. This is good when you want to fill everything with a single color or a single texture. So you can see here, I filled everything with this color right here. But what if I want to change this? Well, in that case, I want to go in the properties panel again down here. And we can check here that we are projecting with the UV projection, and the repetition is gonna be a repeated texture if you want to use a texture that can be repeated. So also here we have the tiling in the scale, in the UV transformation, and this is the tiling right here, which is 1 at the moment. We already talked about the manipulator in the previous video. And then let's go down, we have rotation offset. Let's go down, and here we can see the material. Now the material right now is using all these layers. Now I can also turn them off. So if I click on these little buttons, I can turn off some of the channels or maps. These are called channels or maps and part of the material. And this material is only in this fill layer. So if I create a new layer, it's going to be another material that I can place on top of that, and then another one, and then another one. So I can create like more and more layers with more and more materials and more maps and channels. Now, a map or a channel, like the color, is the one that is going to like define the color of the subject. And well, we need to at least have that one so we can start to apply something. So if I don't even have that, I can always go in the material mode and I can select a material from the libraries. So for example, here, let me select this green material. So you can see it applied the material on the blaster there, and that's it. So then you can like modify it from here with all these parameters. But what if I don't want to do that? I want to create my material, and especially I want to use the texture that I got from Sketchfab to have a nice umbrella mapping here and not just a repeated texture, like which is kind of generic texture. So I'm going to click on the X, delete that material. And again, I'm back on the previous step. So I'm going to deselect all of these, just leave the base color right here. Now, the base color at the moment is a uniform color. So if I want, I can just change it uniformly. So I can click on this bar and I can change this into red or blue or green and so on. So this is something really simple to do. And I have here different ways I can select the colors using hue, saturation, using the brightness or vividness, and that's it. So I can also use other types of selectors here. And I can also create more swatches to save them and reuse it later. Okay, so let's say I like this color right here. Okay, then I can just keep it, or I can move on and I can do something else with this. So if I don't want a uniform color, I can click here and again, I can select a texture. Now these are all texture that again, you'll find in the assets already in Substance. So if I want to change, let's apply some of these texture here. And most of these are normals and like metalness textures or roughness textures. So we don't really have diffuse textures here. These are all for creating 3D effects or glossiness and roughness. But let's use some of these. So let's use this one here, for example. So you can see I've applied here a texture, which is black and white and gray onto that object. And again, it's a repeatable texture. So if I scale and change the manipulator, if I make this smaller, it's going to be repeated more and more times. If I make this bigger, it's going to be repeated less times. Now, what if I want the actual texture that I got from Sketchfab? So let's delete this. And well, I needed to import it first before I can actually place it in there. So I'm going to go to File. I'm going to go to Import Resources. And I will add more resources. So I'm going to go to Add. And I'm going to go to Alien Hominid folder. I'm going to go to the textures and select the texture that I want. I can click and drag. I can hold the Shift key. I can hold the Control key. Now let's say that I want all of them. So I select all of them and say Open. And there you go. Now they are ready to be imported. Now what I need to do is select the ones that I want to like specify. So I want to click and drag again, select everything, or hold Control or hold the Shift, and then go here and change these to textures. So I want to make them textures that can be applied there. So I want to specify that they are textures. So I will go to Import, and there you go. Now we have textures. Now these are the imported resource right here. You can see there is a filter. Now if I take off the filter, there's going to be more difficult to find. But also another thing I can do is go here in the libraries and change this from all libraries to project. So this will be only the project textures. Another way you can import is to go directly in the folder, click and drag inside the application and just say OK. And there you go, back on the previous phase. And you can also click and drag import the texture directly here in the library space. Now again, I want to uncheck these two objects. I want to concentrate first on the blaster. So I'm going to select the blaster, and we already have a fill layer right now. So all I'm going to do is just click and drag the correct texture inside the correct channel in the material. So right now I want to work again with the color. So I don't want to use a uniform color. I'm going to search here. And if you don't read the names here, what you can do is change this from like medium or small, or you can change to the list. So here we can read the names, and this is really helpful because you can see here I can read blaster base color. So I'm gonna click and drag this inside the base color channel, and there you go. And well, now it's not working properly. You can see it's not mapped properly because we changed the manipulator first, and so it's not working properly. So let's reset the manipulator, and the texture should be now placed correctly. So make sure it's placed correctly, and you will tell that because you can see that now each part of this, let's call it product, it's well defined. We have, here are some buttons. Here we have a button, and then we have some graphics applied to it. So again, it's kind of working with packaging when you use envelope mapping. Now, if we want to add more effects, I need to select here which effect I want to use. So let's see what we have here. So we have emissive. So I need to go here and activate the emissive channel, and then I can bring here this texture directly in the emissive channel, and then we have the emissive effect. And then we can do the same thing for the next one, which is going to be metallic. So I'm going to open the metalness or metal. They could have different names, but you can usually find them. Color can be also called base color or base or a diffuse channel, but usually is there and it's recognizable because it's the one that is actually colored. Usually the metallic is black and white. The roughness is going to be gray or black and white. The normal will be more like purplish. So I'm gonna bring this into the metal, and now you can see that the object is looking more metallic, and only in some parts, not everywhere is looking metallic. And then we have normal. So I'm gonna activate the normal map, click there, drag it in the normal slot, and there you go. Now we're gonna have more details, like the scratches here. So you don't want to do those using 3D. You want to use a normal map. So to keep everything nice and neat and not heavy. And then we have roughness. So roughness, it's about where the object is going to be more glossy and less glossy. Now be careful, don't drag the texture directly here, because let's see what happens here if I choose base color. Well, you can see that it's going to be applied directly there, which is not really what we are trying to do here. And it's also creating another layer you can see here. So let's go back, Control Z, and let's bring it directly in the roughness map. And now we also have a roughness texture. Now we're finished because we don't have more texture to apply. So we recreated that effect that we found in Sketchfab. Now let's go with the alien. So I'm going to click in the alien. Now, if you go here in the layers, you have different types of layers. You also have the standard paint layer that will let you paint on the subject. But if I go down here, if I go all the way down in the properties, you can see that this also has some of the channels that we already saw. So let's say that I want to use a base color. So if I click and use the base color right here, nothing will happen. And if I start to paint, there you go. We can see that we are painting using that envelope texture, which is not really cool. It's creating a repetition effect, which is not really why this texture was created and why it was intended for. So that's not really good as well. So let's delete this. And again, all you need to do is create a fill layer and then just drag and drop the texture there. So again, we have a base color. We don't have a height map, so we can turn that off. we have a roughness, and then we have a metalness. There you go. And now you can see that only the eyes are glossy. The rest is diffuse, is rough, it's not glossy. And then we have the normal to have other details. And there you go. Now a lot of details are starting to appear that have been baked there from the original mesh probably. So you can see these processes if you check the ZBrush course or also the Blender 3D character design course that we have in the channel. Now let's finish with some custom painting. So I'm going to create another layer, and I'm going to create it on top of the existing layer. And then I want to choose here the color I want to use. So I will definitely not use the texture here, so I'm going to delete it. And let's pick again like some nice green. I can also use the picker here and get a color from the interface also. So I want to get this green Substance Painter color, and I'm gonna also save it in the swatches, and I can start to paint. So right now I'm painting on top of that material they are already created right here. So this will sum up the effects. So you can see we can still see the bump or normal effect down there. So it's kind of painting on top of a existing surface that already has, you know, some painted parts with different effects like the normal or the glossiness or whatever. There you go, or the roughness. So what I want to do is also create some other effects. And here you also have the possibility to use a metallic effect. So if I'm going to increase this, let's increase the metallic effect. You can see now I can create more metallic parts. Let's like put that to the maximum. There you can see the metallic effect right there. So yeah, I can create like a more metallic paint. And also I can change the roughness. So if I bring down the roughness, you can see I'm going to have like a mirror effect, kind of a mirroring effect, which is pretty different from the one that I had before. And if I make it like more rough, I will have a rough effect. And normal, well, for the normal, we need to define some purplish color, but we can also use the height. Now the height is similar to the normal. It's going to create kind of a 3D effect, as you can see there. So it's kind of painting in and creating like a 3D effect. And you can sum up all of these and manage all of those settings. There you go. So you can see now we are like painting on top of the existing normal map. So we're kind of overriding the original normal map. So we're losing those details that were baked onto the mesh previously. And there you go. So that's going to be it for this lesson. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe to the channel, stay updated, and also please join the channel as a supporter if you want to support us to create more videos. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next lesson.